Let's talk about the device that's probably within arm's reach of you right now. We're going to unpack how that one little phone can quietly become the source of, well, 99 problems. And we're going to see it all through the story of a guy named James, whose life was slowly, almost silently unraveling because of it.
This right here, this was James's reality. His life wasn't, collapsing in some big dramatic fashion. It was leaking, just a slow drip. A bit of lost sleep here, a little irritability there, until he was just completely drained. Always busy, but never actually getting anything meaningful done.
So how did this happen? Let's play detective for a minute and diagnose the problem. It really boils down to 5 hidden drains that were quietly pulling his life apart at the seams. And we're going to start with the one that sounds the most backward.
Okay, picture this. Every night, James would collapse on the couch to relax. You know the drill. But one video would turn into another, and it felt like he was resting, but he wasn't really recharging. He was just leaving his brain buzzing and his body totally exhausted. Sound familiar?
So here's what was actually going on inside his head. Scrolling just floods your brain with novelty, which kicks your dopamine system into high gear. But here's the thing about dopamine a lot of people get wrong. It's not about pleasure. It's about motivation. It's the chemical that screams, hey, keep looking, the next thing could be amazing. So instead of winding down, James was basically flooring the gas pedal on his nervous system.
The next thing he noticed was the distance growing between him and, well, everyone. His friends would say things like, you're here, but you're not really here. He'd be in the middle of a conversation, just waiting for that next buzz from his pocket. Physically, he was in the room, but mentally, he was long gone. And there's a name for this. It's called continuous partial attention. Our phones are literally training our brains to constantly scan for the next little hit of information, and that just destroys the kind of deep, sustained focus you need for a real connection. James wasn't a bad boyfriend or a bad friend. His brain was just being actively rewired.
This became his go-to excuse for everything. I don't have time. No time for the gym, no time to read, no time for his hobbies. His time just seemed to evaporate into thin air. So one day, he finally decided to find out where it was all going.
He opened his screen time report, and there it was, staring him in the face. His daily average was 4.5 hours.
Just think about that. 4.5 hours. It honestly made him feel sick, because it never felt like he was choosing to spend that time. It felt like his day was just being stolen, nibbled away 30 seconds at a time without him even noticing.
And here's the kicker. This happens by design. The infinite scroll is basically a digital slot machine. The next video might be boring, or it might be the funniest thing you've ever seen. That complete unpredictability, what psychologists call a variable reward schedule, is what hijacks our brains and makes it almost impossible to look away.
He'd get into bed totally wiped and tell himself, okay, just 10 minutes, and then boom, suddenly it's 1 in the morning. But the crazy part was, even when he did finally fall asleep, he'd wake up feeling like he hadn't slept at all, just foggy and unrestored.
There are 2 big reasons for this. First, the blue light from that screen messes with the release of melatonin, which is the hormone that tells your body, hey, it's time to sleep. And second, the content itself, the funny video, the angry comment, it keeps your nervous system on high alert. You just can't get that deep restorative sleep when your brain is still running a marathon.
At work, his focus was totally shot. He'd try to start a task, and literally minutes later, he'd find himself just reflexively reaching for his phone. And all his big ideas, the creativity he used to be proud of, it had just vanished. His mind just felt like static.
And that static makes perfect sense when you think about it. Creativity really needs 2 main ingredients: deep focus, which helps you build on ideas, and boredom, which is when your brain makes all those cool, unexpected connections. Well, guess what? Phones absolutely destroy both. They shatter our focus, and they fill every single empty moment, leaving no space for our minds to wander and create.
So finally, feeling like he'd hit rock bottom, James realized the biggest leak in his life might just be the glowing rectangle in his hand. He decided to run an experiment. Not forever, just 30 days.
And he kept it super simple. Step 1. He bought a cheap alarm clock, and the phone was banned from the bedroom. Done. Step 2. He deleted the worst offenders, the super addictive, time-wasting apps. Step 3. He scheduled specific times to check his phone, instead of letting it interrupt him all day. And step 4. He started replacing that mindless scrolling with things that actually recharged him, like going for a walk or just listening to music. So, what happened?
Honestly, the results were staggering. It wasn't about him finding some brand new life. It was about him reclaiming the one he had completely lost track of.
I mean, within just a few weeks, the change was undeniable. His energy came roaring back because he was finally sleeping properly. His focus was back. He didn't magically find more time. He just stopped losing it. His relationships got deeper because he was actually there, present in the moment. And you know that constant low-level hum of anxiety? It just faded away.
But for all of those amazing changes, the most shocking one of all came when he actually sat down and did the math on all that time he had been losing. Based on his 4.5-hour-a-day average, this is how many hours his phone was costing him. Every single year. 1,638.
Just let that sink in for a second. That's not just a number. That is over 68 full 24-hour days. We're talking more than 2 entire months of his life, every single year, just gone. Traded away for a stream of videos he wouldn't even remember the next day.
I mean, think about the true opportunity cost of that. In the time James spent scrolling over just 4 years, he could have earned an entire college degree. He could have started a business from scratch. He could have mastered the guitar. The trade-offs we're making are absolutely staggering. And that's the core lesson here. Our time isn't just vanishing into thin air. It's being traded, usually without us even thinking about it, for digital stimulation. It is a quiet transaction we make every single day, and the price we pay is little pieces of our lives. So, James's story really leaves us with one last, pretty important question, and this one's for you. How much of your life, your focus, your relationships, your creativity, your time is being consumed, piece by piece, in tiny, forgettable 30-second fragments?